Hi guys, it's Becky, and I'm going to be making something for my September challenge. My making at least 2 beaded chain necklaces a week for the entire month of September. I feel like that's a doable pace. It's something that we can do, and as I discussed in my prepping video for it, I'm going to use some current bead boxes for this. And since I haven't made anything with the August Sam's bead box except for Danielle Wick's bracelet that she did a class for, I wanted to use some of these beads because check out these coffee bean beads. They are so cute. I wanted to use this for part of my challenge. So I pulled out some beads, I made some plans, and I am ready to get this going. Now I went ahead and pre-made most of my links. I'll make another link for you on camera so you can see how I did that. I used 20 gauge antique copper color craft wire for my links. And I just did simple loops on my links. So I'll be showing you how I did that. In addition to the links that I made, and I'm just using the light roast coffee beans that came in the kit or in the box. There are some dark roast beans in here that I'm probably going to be using for a different project. So we'll do that later. And if you want to see, I'll put the link to my unboxing video in there so you can see all of these that came out here. Another thing that I grabbed from the kit was this shield bead with the dragonfly in it. And I'm going to be making a focal with that, with one of these beads and 2 of the lentils that came in the kit or in the box. So I'm using the coffee bean beads. I also grabbed these heart beads for links. And this is a bead around hoop that there were 2 of them that came in the box. And I know as somebody who likes to do bead weaving, you'd think I would do bead weaving around it. But no, I'm going to use it for my necklace because I want to do a lariat style necklace. I want to have beaded chain on one end and then some strung beads completing the rest of it, and then attached to the part that goes through this loop is we're going to have a focal with this shield bead, this little tassel that I cut off of the strand that these that's not sunstone, is it sunstone? Yeah, it came off of this strand for this graduated one. So I just grabbed this tassel because we're going to use this in part of our design. I just cut it off of the strand so that we can use it and one of these beads. So we're going to make our focal with this. And then for the strung part, I want to use some of these 3mm copper fire polish beads, some of these cream colored pinch beads, these Hessianite garnet. These are also going to be part of our stringing. And I've got some additions to, this wasn't in this box, but this is 8O copper lined seed beads. And they're going to be spacers for the strung portion of this. Also, in addition to these beads, I have some of these copper 11O seed beads that are going to be part of my my focal, and those came out of the seed bead mix that Danielle curated for this bead box. All right, materials. All right, so for the linking, we're using this and some 5mm jump rings. And then for stringing, I'm going to use some copper color medium soft flex. We're going to use some copper 2x2 crimp tubes for the strung portion. And you know I like my magic crimper for those crimps. As far as the making my links, and opening and closing things. I have some flush cutters, some tweezer nose pliers. You can also use some chain nose pliers if you have them. It's not a big difference, except I like that these are just flatter, and so I use them for everything. And then I've got some round nose pliers for forming my links and for shaping my wire. So we're going to be using those. Oh, there's one more thing. This bead, the hole that runs through it, I thought maybe the hole didn't even go through it all the way, or it wasn't drilled out, because I can't fit even 22 gauge wire through here. I think I may be able to get 26 gauge wire through, but it only one strand, single strand, and I don't know that I can get a substantial enough bail on the top of it. So I'm going to be making my bail with these seed beads, and I'm going to be building my focal using a beading needle, because that will fit through this bead, and I'm going to be using 6-pound fire line for that. So my focal will be bead woven. My part of my necklace will be beaded chain for wire work, and then the rest of it will be stringing. So it's going to have a lot of different techniques in it, and I don't know if that's going to be like too much for everybody, but that's the only way that I can figure out how to get my idea for a focal to work. I also wanted to have a little cone to put at the top of this, and I had in my stash a Tiara Cast little cone bead cap that would have been perfect for that, but I can't find it. So I know I've discussed with you guys and gotten some great input and suggestions on ways for me to, oh, what is the word? Organize, that's it. To organize my findings. I have not implemented that yet because it's a lot of work. So that's why I couldn't find it, but that's okay, because I'm going to make a little cone with my wire, and I'm going to do that probably the first of all. So I've got everything that I've got I want to make with set out. So I'm gonna put aside my chain bits. We're gonna ignore this bit, and I'm gonna just scooch in close to here so that we can work on making a focal. All right, so to do this, just going to warm up some of this wire. And again, this is the 20 gauge wire. It might work better with 22, but this is what I've got right in front of me, and it works just as well with it. So I'm going to grab about 5 inches. I could probably do it with 4 of this wire. Make sure this end is flush. There we go. So that one is flush. And I'm going to grab my round nose pliers. Now this is going to work because my round nose pliers are conical. So what I'm going to do is about the middle of this, I'm going to just grasp this, and I am just going to keep pressing my finger against the side and keep this going, and I'm grasping this and turning it, and then grasping it and turning it in order to get this up. Now I'm going to just scooch this up because I want a bit of a sharper cone shape than I'm getting there. And I've got it going up at an angle. All right, so that is about what I want. And when I pull it off of there, you notice there's a lot of space here. Let me clip the top of this where it stopped the curvature. And I'm just going to grab my pliers, and I'm just going to very gently, while I'm bracing it against my thumb, give it a little bit of a smush. I'm going to turn it, give it a bit more of a smush. Turn it, give it more of a smush. Sorry, you can't see me smushing it. And then smush this down as I turn it. I'm trying to support both sides of it here so it doesn't turn or change or get differently. And now that it's been smushed down all the way around, very gently smushed, I have myself a little cone. Now, this bit is a little wonky, so I'm going to snip the edge. And bend this in very gently so it's not pokey outy. This is why I'm doing it gently, because it just went a little, there we go. And then at the bottom, I think that's good, but I'm just gonna very gently move the edge so it's closer in. So now I have a little cone that this can go up inside, and it'll cover up this knot part. So now I'm ready to build my focal around that using my Fireline. Now you can use any beading thread for this. It'll work just fine. You do not need very much thread. I'm going to pull off about a foot because I like having enough to work with, but I'm not going to use even all of that. I just like being able to have the ability to pull my my thread through and maneuver my needle. Alright, so we've got our beading needle. This is always the worst part. This is why I like big eye needles. Alright, I just smooshed the end with my pliers. And now I'm going to grab my needle, and we're doing it live. Come on, buddy. Why don't you want to go in here? Maybe if I smush it a little further. Keeps going around it, not onto it. I'm trying to needle my thread. Maybe a big eye needle is what I need. Let me grab a big eye needle. Hold on. Big eye needles, big eye needles. Where did my big eye needles go? Oof. Alright. I got one. Alright, well, big eye needle means that I can probably go ahead and tie my beading thread around the middle of this. Right there. And that will save me actually a little bit of going around. So I've got got it hooked between both sides of this. And I'm just going to tie a little knot right here. And this knot will be hidden by the cone that we just made. I'm trying to scooch the knot close to this other knot. If you have a beading awl, that might work just as well for you. There we go. That should hold it just fine. And since I'm using a big eye needle, I'm going to put both ends of that through my big eye needle. This will give us a little extra stability. I won't have to sew up and back down through the bead to reinforce it, because it will be already basically reinforced. All right, so now I'm going to go through the cone that I just made. You see how nicely that sits in there? And now on top of that, I'm going to have this lentil bead. It is a 1-hole lentil. And that's just going to sit there between my broomstick tassel that I made and this shield bead that we're going to go up through. All right, now this is a very tight hole, so I'm going to be grasping my needle with my pliers to pull it through. Like that. And now I'm going to put this lentil on top. And I'm going to take one of these strands of thread out of my big eye needle for the next part. Let's do the longer one. Yes, there we go. This longer one is going to be making us a little bail that we can attach the strung portion of this necklace to. It's just going to be a little beaded bail with some 11/0 seed beads. So I've got my tassel, I've got my bead, I've got my 2 lentils. I'm going to grab 10 of these copper 11/0s. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Like that. And I'm going to I'm gonna have to sew all the way back down through here. Right, and I'm going to go down through this lentil. And the cone. Then I'm going to go through the other side of my tassel again. So this is just going to reinforce the tassel too. And up through both the tassel and my lentil. Gonna move this lintel on the other side over a little bit so I can get this through here. Oh, no, I'm getting it through. All right, a longer bead might have been good, or a longer needle might have been good, but all right, boom, anchored. All right, so now I'm going to just go through all of these beads one more time to reinforce this loop. Actually, I might do it twice, 3 times. All right. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Now there might be some noise in here because I have my fan on because it is really, really hot in Texas and my air conditioning is not working. So I've got to have some airflow. I actually started recording something earlier and I had to stop and let everything cool down because my camera stopped recording because it was too hot. It's like, that was real fun. All right. So mostly have our focal here. I am going to tie both ends of my thread. Now there's some school of thought with whether tying is good or tying isn't. I'm going to tie it. And I'm just going to use a surgeon's knot. That's an overhand knot. And then on the second pass when you do that, it's like a square knot, except on the second one, you just pass it around. You know, you go around the little loop twice instead of once. I like it. I feel like it's pretty secure. And I will burn this off after. I want to go ahead and finish this up without too much frou-frou. That makes my focal. So let me show you with this bead here how I did my simple loops. You probably, if you've been around, seen simple loops before, but if you've never seen them before, then we'll just do this right here. So I've got my 20 gauge wire again, and for this bit I'm just gonna go ahead and pop the bead onto my wire. I like to work from the spool because I feel like I waste less of my wire that way, and I need to make sure that this is flush cut. There we go, that's flush cut. I'm going to take my round nose pliers and I'm going to bend this around until my cut side is touching my wire there. And then while this is on here on this side, I'm just going to rotate these while they're open so that this other bit is just right up against the wire, and I'm just going to give it a little bit of a press, not a lot, but that gives me a little bend and makes a nice loop on that side. Ploop your little bean into place. And with this wire, it's pretty easy to work with. So I'm just gonna, with my thumb, just gonna bend it over a little bit, and these beads can take that. By the way, some beads you've got to be real careful and not do that with your thumb. You want to use your pliers for, but these I've discovered I do not need my pliers for that. Then you can cut off a little bit of a length there, that's about 1 centimeter, and then use your round nose pliers again to bend back. And then you'll have a little loop on that end too. And these are my simple loops, and simple loops are great because you can open and close them. So you don't need jump rings. You can make links without having to attach them as you're making them. But I'm going to open up this loop here at the bottom, and I'm going to attach it to my focal. and we're going to attach our strung portion to this part as it goes through there. So let's open up this link with my light roast coffee bean. I'm gonna loop it through my beaded bail that I made. Gonna open this up a little bit more. Oh boy. There we go. All right, so this is going to be dangling from one end of my necklace. Let it move out a little bit, and we can start working on the rest of it. Now, I know I've got my links here with their simple loops, so I could attach them to each other, but I'm going to use some jump rings instead, just to give us more room and more movement with our stuff. So I think I'm going to start with this one. I've got my jump ring, and jump rings are super simple. You just put the things that you want to connect on to the jump ring while you're working with it. Get this closed. Where's there it is. They make these little rings that you can have in your hand to open and close jump rings, but it's just as easy to grab another plier or something like that to hold the other end. All right, so we're gonna build out from this ring. And so the next one is going to be a heart. So this week has been rough for a lot of people in the beading community. In addition to Tiara Cast, who makes this awesome ring here, deciding that they need to shut their doors and close down their business, which is really devastating. We also lost a really dear person in the YouTube community. And if any of you know her, you probably know who we're talking about, and it was Wendy Whitman. She still is, I'm sure, one of the most down-to-earth and real people that are here on YouTube doing jewelry making things, doing tutorials. She was one of the first YouTube jewelry makers that I followed, and I followed her for unboxings, but then I would also watch some of her tutorials. And the best thing about Wendy was she made you feel like you could make jewelry too. She's one of the reasons that I decided I was going to start sharing my jewelry making, is because she had such a passion for it and she had so much fun with it. I wasn't close with her like some of the other creators that are out there who were able to have conversations with her, but she still impacted my life. She still touched my life, in that she brought her light into this hobby and into this world. And it's a pretty small corner of the internet, the bead tube community. Small world, and you know, I don't think she even knew how much impact she had on our lives, because she did, and it's a huge loss. I mean, she's already missed by so many people, so many people. There's a saying that I hadn't really heard until a couple of years ago. And it was when my dad passed away. I had someone say, "May his memory be a blessing." And I really, truly think that her memory is going to be a blessing for all of us. And the fact that we could still pull up some of her videos and spend a little bit of time with her, and have her encouraging word of the day. I mean, might be too hard to do that right now, but they're still going to be there, and they're still going to be, she's still going to be touching people's lives, if her videos remain there posthumously. And it might be hard for a family to do that. I understand if they are going to want to take it down, but I hope they don't. I hope that they allow us to continue to have her be parts of our lives, because that would be lovely. All right, so here's the last one. And I've got a little jump ring attached to this one. That's what I'm going to attach my, my strung portion to once we get that on there. So I've got my beaded chain. And now I've got my beaded chain, I've got my focal. And now I need to do some stringing. So for stringing, because I'm not sure quite how long I want it to be, I'm going to string just until it is long enough. I'm leaving this on the spool, and I'm just going to pop some beads on this end and then check my length when I get there. All right, so let's see. I'm going to grab, I think I'm just going to do 2 of these copper lined beads between each of these beads, and I'm just going to go in a circle like this. So I've got 2 copper line beads, 1 copper fire polish, 2 seed beads, 1 pinch bead, 2 seed beads, 1 hessianite garnet. I'm going to just repeat this one more time, and then I'm going to go ahead and turn off the camera and string this so you guys don't have to sit here while I am stringing this whole thing. And when I've got it to the length that I want it to be, I'll turn this back on and we will finish putting it all together on this. So let me just go over that pattern one more time. 2 seed beads, 1 fire polish, 2 seed beads, 1 pinch, 2 seed beads, 1 hessianite garnet, 2 seed beads, 1 fire polish, 2 seed beads, 1 pinch, 2 seed beads, 1 hessianite garnet. All right, I really, really like the color of this hessianite garnet. They are just such a gorgeous ambery color. They have so much warmth to them. All right, so that's what we're going to do for my strung portion. When I have got it to the length that I want, I will join you back here. Okay, so I have finished my stringing. Now we're going to put everything together, and as you can see, the dimensions are about 1/3 of the necklace is done with the beaded link, and the other third is done with the stringing. So now that I've got that finished and strung, I'm going to go ahead and leave this on here while I attach this end of my my wire, and where I finished it off, because the end here may be rubbing a little bit through this ring. I didn't want the very last bead here on the end to be the hessianite garnet. I didn't want to have too much rubbing going along on there. It still probably will rub a little bit more as you're wearing it, but it won't be as much or as drastic. All right, so to get this attached, I am going to go ahead and attach this end. Let's attach this end to this bit of my chain, and I'm going to use my 2x2 crimp tube. We're going to go through this jump ring. I could just make a loop and then open and close the jump ring and loop it through there, but I don't need to do that. All right, let's get this bent over a little bit and scooch it up closer, not too close. And I'm gonna go grab my magical crimpers. It squishes down this 2x2 crimp tube on the edges, and then as you rotate it, it rounds out the corners so you don't have little jagged bits of metal poking into your skin while you're wearing it. It's nice and smooth, and I don't need a crimp cover because I'm terrible at regular crimping, and I'm even more terrible at doing crimp covers. Like I'm just not good at them, guys. But with this, I do good crimps. All right, I'm just gonna cover those two with this and snip off my excess. And now I can push the rest of these beads along there. So now I've got that connected. I'm ready to go ahead and snip my wire here. And I'm going to want to connect this end of my chain to my focal. And I'm going to want this to go through my loop because it is a lariat necklace. So now that that's through my loop, I can pick up another crimp tube. And then put this end through my little coffee bean link. On my focal. And bend it back. There we go. I'm gonna move these two up, I think. This one will go through too, maybe? No, only the 8/0s. All right, this part is the fun part because I get to tighten this, but not too much, because you want to be able to still have some movement in your necklace. And then I pull that one through there. So I still have some room here. There we go. I'm gonna move these beads down closer to there so that I can crimp this without breaking any of my beads. And I'm just gonna do the same thing. Give it a smoosh and then rotate it and smoosh it. You know, rotate and smoosh. Rotate and smoosh. I do a lot of smooshing. And there we go. Nice and crimped. Cut that off. And now I have a lariat necklace with beaded links. And a focal, and this is not going to come out here. That's why I wanted to do that first. I mean, I suppose I could have just like bent it through or something. But that feels like that would be maybe a little more complicated than it needs to be. But this will go over my head. Yep, that fits just nicely. And it is asymmetrical and beautiful. And I made this with the August Sam's Bead Box, which is a monthly subscription. And this one was curated by Danielle Wicks with coffee bean themes. And I think I'm going to call this I Love You a Latte because of the hearts and the latte color. And also, like, we're never guaranteed a future. Tell your friends, tell your loved ones, tell everyone that you love them. Be kind. Watch out for motorcycles, guys. Just look, you know, everywhere. They're smaller than cars. They're harder to see. Look for them. And I'm really looking forward to doing more of these beaded chain necklaces in the challenge. Not all of them are gonna also have a strung component. Some of them may just be only beaded chain. But I wanted to just have this be part of it here, and because I wanted to have some of these other smaller beads involved in it. I'm looking forward to if any of you are going to share what you make when you're doing your journey with me. I would love to see them. And let me know. Let me know in the comments if you're going to be joining me on this. I know some of you already said you would. I appreciate you definitely like letting me know. But if you're just coming along to this and you want to come on my little journey with me, I would love that. Anyway, I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Happy beading. Bye.